welcome back to the worst movie podcast in the world. This week we have been looking at Play for Views, and I am joined by Ryan, Decos, and Joe finally, after his
I'm back.
McHorry last week.
Sadly, I was released from my muck prison.
This podcast is perfectly balanced.
Yeah, Joe working at the competitor. Where's the Burger King representation, Joe?
Yeah, I do want to say, I mean, I was never sure how much of my presence impacted this until I listened to last week's episode, and the What's the No with Joe, the What's the No with Joe just was a complete kerfuffle.
I didn't organise it. I didn't have any hand
just a kerfuffle.
I was just hosting it.
Set things right.
Right. Anyway, let's get straight into this. So, Play for Views. Ryan, do you want to give us a little bit of background on this movie? Because I feel like obviously it's going to be slightly more obscure because it's a YouTube film, of course. So it's going to be slightly more obscure to probably people listening. So some background will probably help them gather what they need to know. So, Joe? Joe.
What?
Ryan?
Joe, what are you saying? You were asking me for background, then you were thrown to Joe.
Say, Ryan, what do people want to know? I was going to do like the What's the No with Joe thing, but with Ryan instead.
With you?
I thought it'd be funny.
You threw it to me, and then we're just like, Joe?
What do we want to know about the thing? Tell us about it.
Can you? Okay. So yeah, this is arguably the most obscure film we are ever going to cover on the podcast. Mm-hmm. I think that might be... I know we're not that far in, but that's a fair assumption, given that this is a movie uploaded to YouTube that has, at the time of recording, under 300 views. So, and we are 4 of those. So yeah, this is sort of a weird tangent I went down on Letterboxd. I was just looking for some weird ass shit to watch, and I stumbled across a movie by a guy called George Anderson. Of course, absolutely no relation to Wes Anderson, Paul W.S. Anderson, or Paul Thomas Anderson.
Start with the Anderson pun.
Yeah, I just wanted to see where he compared to all of them.
I remember in a previous video us talking about the Andersons, and I'm pretty sure you said George Anderson.
I did not. I said Wes Anderson, Paul W.S. Anderson, and Paul Thomas Anderson.
Why you found out that there was another Anderson?
This is part of the reason I watched the film, okay? The reason his surname is Anderson, and it struck the comparison. He's better than W.S., by the way.
Matt, I'm lost and confused. I will not
rescind my statement. But let me get on with explaining what the fuck the film
is. Was on Anderson films, okay? That's all you need to know.
But anyway, look, this is a film that is basically shot with no budget. It is a documentary about gaming on YouTube, and it follows 5 creators on YouTube, basically just explaining, their history with gaming, why they create content for YouTube, and in some cases they have hats with horns on, and those hats
with horns.
Those hats
with horns.
Those horns, they never got honked in the film, and if you're listening, George, that is the biggest L of your movie. You didn't honk his horn.
The horn was not.
It's true. The horn was looking very honkable on that hat. I'm gonna be honest.
They even baited us with there's a shot of behind his hat, and it shows a little honker. Okay, God damn.
People need to know where it is.
What noise does it make? It could quack like a duck.
Let's get straight into
Let's move on.
Based on that, what did people think of it? Do you guys feel like you learned something? Do you feel like you've grown as a person after watching it? Let's go straight to Joe.
That's not Cameron. That's not the point of documentaries.
I mean, it can be.
The point of documentaries are literally. The point of a documentary is literally to entertain, and that is it.
I don't give a fuck.
That is the only purpose.
I give 0 fucks. I ask the question and I want to hear the people answer it.
Fuck you.
I give 2 shits into the documentary.
Violent episode.
I think what Cameron asked is what some people do get out of documentaries.
I was learning things. I felt like I grew a little bit as a man
but
watching
the entire point is to be entertaining first and foremost.
It was wholesome. It was a wholesome thing.
The purpose of this movie is obviously it's an insight into in some cases, very small YouTube creators, except one of them,
who's absolutely fucking Goliath.
Mankalore with 150,000 Don't know how. Like that is ridiculous.
Rookie numbers.
They
We'll get it in a week.
explained it in the film, Joe. How he
No,
got.
I know.
We'll get it in a week.
But I will say, I feel like we can relate to this slightly.
That's true. Yeah,
Oh,
we're very fresh faced.
I quite like listening to other people's
history.
no, but I quite like
We have
listening
law.
to other people's experience of it because there have been
That's what we're going
times
through
in the
right
past
now.
where we have delved. I mean, this podcast is one example of that. We have also delved in other things over the past
That will
years,
not be
YouTube
named.
included. Yeah, that must be forgotten about in time, but we tried.
We gave it a best shot.
And yeah, I think it's interesting because a lot of these, although I will say, my one big critique early on in this film is that, where's all the Destiny content?
It's true. I feel like they lean very heavily into Nintendo, and I've never been a big Nintendo guy, so I was kind of lost in that respect. I feel like I could have meshed with these people more if they started. I know they talked about Halo a little bit, but
Cameron, you say you're not a very big Nintendo guy. Have you ever owned a Nintendo console in your life?
I owned a Switch, and I played the new Zelda on it, and that was it because I didn't want to play anything else. So, although technically I bought it with my sister.
You're not a
So
Mario
you bought a
Kart
Switch
kind of
to
man,
just
Cameron?
play that, or someone else had a Switch and you just?
I bought a Switch for my sister so I could get away with just playing Zelda and never having to touch it again.
You're not are you not a Mario Kart man?
I've never played a Mario Kart game. Never played a Mario Kart game.
You've never played a Mario Kart game?
Never. I had when I was like a really small kid. There was like
the biggest obscenity
I've
ever heard.
I know.
I mean, even I have played.
No one ever gives me anything to play. Like I'm not going to go out.
I want to kick you off the podcast right now.
Whoa!
Yeah, that is disgusting.
It's not like by choice. It just hasn't happened. Like if someone gave me Mario Kart,
you've never even been around someone else's house and given it a go.
Everyone's house I went to, I was like at the age where everything all had Xboxes, and we just like I don't know played something that wasn't Mario Kart. I just never got to play.
So you never went around someone's house and someone was like, "Yo,
I don't think you ever played it."
My mum bought me a Wii. Let's play Wii Sports and Mario Kart.
No one. Either people didn't have games consoles when I went round to their houses, or they just had like Xboxes. That's all that happened. It was weird. It was. I agree. It's weird. It just slipped through the crack. Just Nintendo slipped through the crack.
I want to hear what Decos has to say.
I was going to say with Nintendo. I remember in the middle of like an English lesson, me and Ryan were sat in the middle of the classroom, and we were just talking about Pokemon.
But were you talking about play for views, which is the topic of today's?
Oh, that's
we were not, because this movie had not released back then, Joe.
Steering us back onto topic.
Yeah.
All right. So again, like I think I'm going to rephrase the question here. Just what did you guys think of it? Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? What do you feel like you got out of it?
Let me go.
Yeah. All right, Ryan, go.
Yeah, because I'm the first one to watch this and decide to recommend it. I genuinely quite enjoyed this.
For that, Decos, you go.
No, please.
Anyway, go fuck yourself, Ryan. Well, I watched it like an hour ago. Not even that.
That's same.
And
prepared.
I enjoyed it for what it. Hey man, I've been busy. I normally watch my
It's
films.
fresh in our minds, man. It's fresh in our minds. I remember why
he said the line. He said the line.
Because been busy.
He just said the line.
Everyone drink.
Oh shit!
I hate you. But,
sorry.
Anyway, yeah, I enjoyed it. What it was trying to tell was very reminiscent, as Joe said, of previous experiences. Especially with the stuff like falling in and out of love for gaming and stuff. I think that's what we've done sometimes with some games.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it happens.
But yeah, it was informative and it was nice. I think some of the views reflected how we have felt regarding stuff, and it was just nice to hear someone else say it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like we're doing it right now, aren't we? We are on a small, we've got a small YouTube channel
that
we're trying to build up, and we are going through the some of the very similar things as to what they were talking about. Which that's what I found most interesting.
Same, yeah, and I found it was very wholesome.
We had a more I think in terms of the some of them were stopping becoming distance. I think we had a bit, not in terms of distant, but a bit more extreme version of that with our previous attempts of the when we are just playing for views, opposed to
Yeah.
playing
Oh
for.
yeah.
Oh, that's a good little
I
twist
feel.
of the
I feel like.
title.
I feel like we can delve into that a lot more like later on.
Yeah,
Like
in some
that sort
general
of stuff that we've
discussion.
had. Yeah.
All right, so I feel like we've got
Back
Joe's
to
opinion, we've
Lord
got
Bob
Degos's opinion, we've got a little bit of my
boys.
opinion. Ryan we'll go to you now. Ryan.
Yay!
Come on, I
Last
don't know what your
one.
opinion
You
is.
got 30 seconds.
Oh no!
Good go.
Okay. Oh fuck it. No.
20
I actually.
seconds.
Oh, fuck you. I actually quite enjoyed the film, which is why I recommended this because I just
Okay,
found
moving
it
on to the
whilst I was
logline.
watching. I basically. I basically just went on like a binge of like YouTube films, and this was one of them, and it was arguably the best one I watched. Found it actually pretty
I
interesting,
have-
even if it is like the way it's made is quite scuffed, I will say.
Mr.
But
Host
given that it
Cameron,
cost
I have a
nothing,
question.
We're moving
so
out of the
short.
introduction section. We're going into the logline showdown. Let's have a tussle. Let's see who summarizes the film the best. Let's roll with it.
Logline Showdown.
We'll start with a little bit of Joe action on the side here.
Okay, I actually do have one that
He's got
I
one.
yeah.
I mean, who doesn't? I have one as well.
Yeah, I have one. Right, my logline is I think this movie proves that Nerd Cubed is the YouTube nerd that inspired all other YouTube nerds, including myself.
Uh-huh.
That's my logline. Next logline.
Ryan, your logline.
Ryan, you're
Thank you
next.
for taking charge there.
My God.
When the fun stops, stop.
Stop.
Ryan, go.
God damn,
that's
dude.
a
I
great
do not have a
logline.
logline, so this is gonna be very scuffed.
I'm actually coming unprepared.
So-
Cringe.
Completely unprepared. I was going to do Ready Player One, but it did not fit. The logline did not fit the movie.
Well, you're on a time limit here, Ryan.
So yeah.
TikTok.
Anyway, so in a movie where George really fucking burnt that pizza and didn't buy the music rights to Queen or Frank Sinatra, you know, the nostalgia angle is played to full. It was a hoot. And the red guy had a hair improvement arc.
It did.
You literally could have just. I'll be honest, Ron. You could have just had that last sentence, and it would have been fine. I don't know. That was one of the worst log lines you've ever tried
It's
to
not
produce.
prepared, you dog.
If you'd have just done the red guy hair art, that would have been fine. Okay, I'm just letting you know.
Look,
just for
cut the
future.
rest of it. Red
No,
guy.
I'm
hair
not. I'm
arc.
not.
No. People need to know what happened.
Joe,
here.
cut the rest of it. Like red guy cut his hair clearly.
Oh.
Well, actually, he did grow. I feel like he
No,
grew
he
it out
grew
and
his
used some
hair.
product.
It was a hair transformation of great proportion.
Well, I was gonna. Oh, okay. Well, mine was relating to a previous video when we were talking about bread.
Oh,
The
God's
pizza
sake.
was the worst thing you could do to bread. You burnt the bread.
Is it bread though, or is it dough?
Dough is bread.
Bread
And
is
bread
dough.
is dough.
Bread.
Ah. Okay, a bread pun. Great.
Dough is untoasted bread.
Okay, we're not doing the bread pun thing
I am
again.
glad that we don't have the guy on this as the guest because this is a shit show.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
fine.
actually, yeah, no.
It's fine.
no.
this extra hour.
Okay, Cameron, what's yours?
Mine is Nintendo Circle Jerk, the documentary.
Oh my god.
Ooh,
Oh,
that was worse
my
than
God.
mine, and mine was bad.
That was terrible.
Moving on.
What?
I don't
I
know.
don't know how to respond
Moving
to
on
this now.
swiftly from that.
I don't
shit
know
show
if that
is
can I
Cameron's
don't even.
logline.
Oh my god.
I don't know if
I
we're...
like the
Cameron,
movie. I think they focus too much on Nintendo.
Nintendo Circle Jerk, despite never owning a Wii. Okay, you never
True.
did Wii Sports Bowling. Never did Wii Sports Tennis.
That's
You never avoided the Wii Sports
If you
Baseball.
don't like it, I can change the log line right here, right
No,
now.
that was it. You're locked in. You're locked in.
Brian, do you remember when we did FIFA on the Wii around yours for your birthday?
Yo, FIFA on the Wii. That shit slapped.
That was slapped.
All
I
right,
think
are
they
we
focus a
voting?
little bit
Let's
too
get
much on
off.
Nintendo for my taste.
Let's get off the logline section. We need
This has
to
been
vote.
the worst.
All right,
one.
yeah, let's go to the votes.
Yeah, it's just a scoffed logline section ever. Okay.
It's tricky with a
This is the
documentary,
worst
to be fair.
movie podcast.
Who's
It's tricky
starting?
with a documentary.
Yeah. Right. Who's starting the vote?
But we also could have just explained
Cameron.
what the film
I think Joe should vote
Cameron
first.
30.
No,
No,
I
Cameron
never
first.
start.
Chaos,
I never
you
No,
start.
prefer.
I never
Cameron.
start.
Yes, you always start.
Unless it's three
Start.
people and you go last.
Yeah. Cameron start.
I didn't like Joe's. Sorry, Joe.
Oh, I'm the only fucking.
I think Digos's was kind of. I like the way it pulled back to last week. I think that was very smart.
Oh
But
my god.
yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go with Decos.
What? You bastard.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, who's next?
All right, Joe, you go.
I'll go with. I like the red guy hair arc, so I'm gonna go with Ryan, even though I don't want him to win again.
All right, Ryan, you vote.
Oh, you see, I like Decos's burnt pizza, but I gotta respect Joe for actually putting in some effort. So I'm gonna go for Joe.
Put in effort.
Thank you.
I thought that. I was thinking that since the start of the
Decos,
please
check the chat because the pizza is literally the first talking point in the notes.
All right, Decos,
I
you're
haven't
up.
read the notes.
Decos, you have the potential to become the agent of chaos here, by the way.
Yeah,
anyway,
I kind of.
Cameron because I hate you both.
So, so
looks like we have
honestly
the
after the
tiebreaker.
logline showdown. I am happy that there's no.
Okay, you know what? Yeah, you know what? For this week,
everyone should have nil points.
Okay,
yeah,
for this week
no one's
only,
a winner.
we'll take the.
I think that's the closest I've ever been to winning.
Which means that Cameron is the real winner.
Yeah, Cameron. Oh, for God's
All right.
sake.
Anyway,
All right.
hopping on. Let's get to a little bit of general discussion with this. Let's just kind of mull over our thoughts, relate it to our own experiences, see what we thought of the whole thing. There is Among Us.
Sus.
Which pretty much puts it about at least in the same category as Glass Onion if it's got Among Us in
it's
it.
At the lowest
it can be is next to Glass Onion. Yeah.
This is the second movie that we've done that has had a reference to Among Us.
Which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened twice.
It's a pre-2020 movie. It's only going to stack up. You wait.
This isn't a pre-2020 movie.
Oh, sorry, I meant post.
I
meant post. Sorry.
Just wait for the Thing remake.
Oh.
But it's Among Us.
Right.
Right. All right. So who wants to have a little bit? Who wants to create a talking point here? Who wants a little bit of discussion?
Ooh,
well,
okay.
I feel like Ryan's got a few. But Joe's go. Go, Joe.
I'll just start with the thing. I was going to say, like, genuinely, one of my favorite things about watching this is the amount of. There were a couple times that these guys brought up a game that I had like forgotten about in my like memory, and they like revitalized, like my memory of these games. For example, the one where they were talking about the Inspector Layton and Pandora's Box, that little puzzle game we used to have on the DS.
Yeah.
I'd like forgotten about that game, and it like brought back all these memories because I had a DS. Did anybody else have a DS?
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Because Cameron didn't have a fucking childhood.
That was one of the games that I played on there.
I guess played Halo, bro.
And I quite liked that.
You're the Michael Jackson of this podcast, Cameron.
I quite like, you know what? It was different seeing like this whole group, despite the Mario Kart and what's that other game they were playing on like the farm? What's it called?
Animal Crossing.
Yeah, besides those two.
From the guy who didn't even play.
Most of the games what? It's a farm. You build a farm.
It's not a farm, it's an island.
Anyway, a lot of the games that these guys are talking about are all like older games. It's not like the same sort of shit that you see people have nowadays, which I thought was quite interesting. especially the red
the
guy.
Harry Potter exclusive.
Yeah, the Harry Potter guy. You know what? I rate his commitment to the Harry Potter franchise.
I rate
You know
the
what?
fact that he made a 3-hour video on
honestly,
rating the Harry Potter games. That is
he hasn't
passion.
uploaded at this point of when they released this film. He hadn't uploaded for like 6 years, but like his views were always quite, and he even mentioned it during the film. His views were always quite good consistently. And you know what? I think if you're gonna sit and do the Harry Potter games, like the original one, you deserve a couple thousand views each video. So I respect it a lot. I do respect it a lot.
That's true. Goddamn Harry Potter games.
I'll just add on to that as well. I feel like at least the clips they showed of his stuff, it seemed genuinely like quite good. Given that he's only got like a couple of like 1,000 subs. It actually seemed like he put like a lot of effort into his videos.
It like a lot of research.
They could be. I probably
time
won't
and
watch it
effort and
nowadays, but it could be something that, like, say, like 5-10 years ago, if I stumbled upon, I probably would have watched.
He's genuinely one of those people that I think that now, if he was to start YouTube now, you know, when you get these like commentary channels, not for like games, but like these commentary channels, there like people like comment on like, you know, cringe TikTok stars or like
a react channel.
Yes. I reckon that's the kind of
Holy
stuff
shit,
that
yeah.
he'd be perfect at, because the way he speaks during his game reviews, there's a lot of similar. It's not really too much of a thing anymore. You have like kind of the people who are at the
game
top
reviews
of
have
it.
sort of died off.
Well, the thing is, you kind of have the people who are at the top, and it's hard to compete with them.
But I also feel as well, like nowadays, if you wanna, so say you're trying to buy a game on PC, you're not. At least back in the day, you would go watch like a YouTube video on what the game is. Nowadays, it's just like Steam, mostly positive. All right.
Yeah, you got thousands of user reviews to just kind of sift through.
Yeah,
and
you just use like a general consensus. And
like you don't need to watch
and with like
40-minute
consumer protections, what they are as well. Of like, oh, you can get a refund in 2 hours. There's less risk.
Yeah.
You don't need like to watch a 40-minute video to at least. I think I agreed with what they were saying in the thing on you don't need to watch those kind of videos on when you want to buy, when you're thinking about buying a game. You watch them after you've played the game to kind of like see what their opinions were and contrast them with your own.
You want like someone else's opinion to back up your own or see what.
Yeah,
I guess
that's
what
the
you've
kind of
missed
reviews I watch now. If I watch a review now, it's on something after I've seen it, not before I watch it. Because again, like I can literally just get my phone up and I've got thousands of impressions on it beforehand, so I know generally what people have thought about it before I go in. I don't need to watch a 40-minute video to tell me that, but I would like to watch a 40-minute video, kind of going like, oh, this is what I thought. Like, this is what I thought was bad. This is what I thought was like good. Here's like all the spoilers and stuff, and I'm like, all right, cool, yeah, I thought the same, or I didn't think the same, that kind of thing. And I agreed with what they were saying. I thought it was very relatable.
We're like the only video that exists for this movie that's doing that.
About the way
because it's just people.
It's a documentary, and there tends to be certain, I guess.
Like I
guess tropes, but it's not really techniques.
Yeah.
Documentary.
How did you feel about the documentation style techniques and filmmaking they utilized in this? Obviously, taking into account that these people have nowhere near the amount of money that anybody else has, and they're just people like us. Like we would not be able to make some.
Considering it had a budget of £150, it did alright. There was a few cuts where it didn't really. But later on in the film, there was a cut where I think he like cut halfway for a word or something. It's little things like that, but in what he had in terms of money, he made something pretty solid.
Yeah, and if I had all the same like setup that he had, I would not be able to make anything better, or maybe even anything
I think given what he has and what it is, it's probably about as good as you're gonna get.
I will
this
say,
type of film.
I will say, I actually think that, and of course, again, you know, all this comes down to, you know, budget and all this stuff, and obviously this is a very, but I think that the way this is made accompanies the theme quite well, because it is a documentary about, like I said earlier, all besides one, about very, you know, small, like part-time
part-time
YouTubers,
gaming YouTubers,
small-time creators,
like doing
that
it alongside the university course and stuff.
that don't have these ridiculous setups that you commonly see with YouTubers these days, and this film kind of has that same sort of tone. You can tell, like, it's them. They are speaking into the camera as if they were doing a let's play. And I don't know if that was right. I would like to say about Derek.
Oh, watch him! It's a noble death.
Derek
from a samurai.
Shut up. Derek is my favourite character. Keep saying characters. They are actually people.
They're real people.
They are people. I mean, it's because I'm thinking of it in the context of a movie, but this is a documentary.
He was very honest in this documentary.
Yeah, and you know what? I actually love it because
when he turned around and went, I didn't think he'd get so many subscribers, but jeez, he did.
Nah, the thing is, the thing with Derek, okay, is that I have a feeling because out of all of them, and this is not in any way again mean to criticize or anything. We only have a handful of subscribers.
I mean,
we don't know
joke
shit.
out of all of them, he is the one that had the lowest. Okay, and he also he even said himself he is not a very consistent with posting.
He straight up said he's not consistent with posting and wasn't a very creative person.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. And but therefore, I actually think the inclusion of him in this documentary, where the rest of them, you can tell they're very passionate, and Derek just seems to be like, I wasn't really fussed, but I'll tell you about it anyway. And it was actually the best part, when he said when they were asking for quotes, like you brought up earlier, and he said, "Yeah, I think you need to be creative to be a YouTuber, and I'm not very creative." I thought that was the best line in the entire thing.
I wrote that.
So good. Honestly, the best moment in the entire thing. And also, I just want to make one more addition.
All of that was the cut, to his YouTube channel with loads of videos.
Yeah. But just to say what Dekos was saying earlier, well, we brought up about some of the actual the specifics of the camera cuts. The best transition was at the end of the film. When they panned from the outside into the screen at the end.
Yeah.
That was so good.
Yeah.
That was really good, yeah.
That was the only time they used that. But yeah, hey ho.
It's probably expensive. It took time, money.
That was where the whole 150 quid went.
That's where it went.
One shot.
I feel like a lot of inspiration of the way this is filmed is similar to. Yeah, you guys ever watch The Office, both either the British or the American Office? Where they sit them down and interview them like that. It felt a lot like that.
Well, it was. Well, you see, this is a style of documentary. It's called a talking head. So it's basically you're just one-on-one with a person talking to the camera.
Oh, I thought you said that the other week, I thought you made it up.
No, this documentary is basically a documentary of just talking heads.
Talking heads. Why do I keep envisioning just somebody making a film about bobbleheads?
Fuck's sake.
Joe, that would be infinitely better.
Oh god.
I'd watch the shit out of that.
No. Anyway.
No, but this is one I dig at that. This is a dig at documentaries, don't
I didn't realize. I found it interesting that Manticore was the guy that did the. Was it him who did the 100 Ways to?
Yeah, the 100 Ways. Yeah. I feel like
I've definitely watched that video before and had no idea who.
Ironically, I watched the 100 Ways to Die in Halo 3 one that he based it on, but not the actual Mario
Kart. I knew you were
one.
that.
Yeah.
I think you've shown me that one.
Yeah, again.
It was it's almost like an uncanny valley whilst they were showing the clips of that episode.
Yeah.
That video. Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I did a very interesting perspective on this whole thing, because obviously it's a games tester on a big AAA game. It gave me a very unique perspective, especially when they were talking about the how they were talking about the gameplay mechanics, so the hardest thing to review and talk about, because they are one of the hardest things to wrap your head around, because there's something that I have to look at and test every day, and it's still you're looking at something and you're because part of our job is also to find things that aren't we can log bugs, but we also log suggestions and stuff like that. So obviously, like part of it is we're looking at things that could be better and like things that aren't fun and things that could be like funner. Like obviously that's not the main part. We're mainly found bugs, but that is also something we do look at, and it's kind of obviously difficult to kind of like hone in on and look at. So I completely understand what that guy was saying. I relate to him. That's all I'm saying.
I understand. I also understand what that guy was saying regarding the games he was talking about. Because the latest Batman, the one that he was talking about, was a bit more janky and it didn't flow well in combat.
Yeah.
So I definitely, compared to the other one, so I definitely understand where he was coming from.
Yeah, they probably just like they probably just had some like whiffing with some just it's easy to do. I mean, it's like that. It's I see it all the time. It's very easy to like fuck those things up.
Yeah, if we ever spoke to like any of them, one thing I want to add, especially the red guy, is if he talks about gameplay and all that, how do you review an old game? Because if I go back to a game like the Harry Potters, I wouldn't be able to play it because
he has a 3-hour video. You can go watch that.
You have
Unless
to take
you're busy.
You have to take into account that it's old, and you just like.
You can say,
I guess
with new games you can go graphics and all this and all that.
Well, you can do it with that. You compare it to the graphics of the time. You compare like Halo Combat Evolved to other games that came out in 2001, and it's like, you just compare it to those ones as an example.
And there's also as well sort of like some nostalgia in playing with the old graphics, and I guess like the original vision of the game and how it's meant to be. Okay, I feel like we've talked about quite a lot of what I think like the movie did well. So I'd just like to bring up some of the bits that I feel like I feel like didn't do as well. Decos already brought up the burnt pizza. My God, man, mastered that shit.
The burnt pizza.
That brought a tear to my eye.
The burnt pizza. I would also like to bring up again. I know no one's going to agree with me, but this is my personal opinion. I feel like they did. Obviously, I get why, because it was on their personal experiences, and obviously they personally were playing a lot of Nintendo games.
If you bring up they didn't play Halo, I'm gonna
No, I'm not saying they didn't play Halo. They showed Halo in it. I'm just saying they should have got some other people who played games outside of the Nintendo repertoire, so you could get a wider variety. Because a lot of the Nintendo games, repertoire.
Cameron, this is not a repertoire using podcast.
I'm just saying.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I wanted a wider variety of talking points because they were also talking a lot about Mario.
Although I will say,
like all the other ones.
No, yeah, but I will say that this
they're all friends.
This is why they're in it. It's because they're his friends.
But what they should do is,
it's a low budget. He knows people who create YouTube content.
I get that.
So
what they should do
is he's got his friends to be in it, and his friends just so happen.
Because I mean, let's be honest. If we were to do this, we would mainly do Xbox games, and there'll be no Nintendo games. So it goes both ways.
What they should do is make friends with someone who doesn't play Nintendo games.
How can you do that if you don't play?
Easily.
In this film,
they actually had a guy playing Xbox.
George was turned on a PlayStation. There was a whole
he was playing like GTA.
I know. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
PC, including games like Batman.
I'm just saying.
Was it Ellie? She was playing obviously Nintendo and all that. Derek was just being Chad playing grass.
Derek was being Derek, mate. He was just Dereking about.
He was having a good time. But no, that's just a personal opinion. That's just a personal opinion. I ain't got no beef with Nintendo. Nintendo, you're cool. The new Zelda looks fantastic. I'm going to be buying that shit ASAP. I just think they should talk about other stuff as well. That's it.
I also think it proves one of their points of being a Nintendo, like, almost. For the fact that they are all friends and they met through online gaming and on YouTubing.
YouTube, online gaming. I mean, he literally met the red guy by messaging him on Twitter after he hadn't uploaded for a while.
Yeah, true.
Absolutely.
I wanted to talk about something, and I want to bring it back to a bit more of a on a light-hearted note instead of tearing down this movie.
We're not tearing it down. We were just pointing out some holes.
I quite enjoyed that when they were talking about some of the older YouTubers from back in the day, and as I said in my logline, I was very happy to see some appreciation towards Nerd Cubed. That's one of the first YouTubers that I. What's that?
Yeah, Nerdcube's the only one I recognise out of the names.
Oh no, yeah, no.
But in the
Littlewood, and
No.
Nerdcube, but I know
Mate,
Ryan watched them as well.
My YouTube
Yeah.
was Nerdcube, KSI, and Vanos.
Oh, Vanos.
That was Vanos.
But they were like the holy trinity back in the day.
Back in the day.
A lot of those other guys, I feel like that, like
I actually recognize quite a lot of them because I guess I've been using YouTube for a while and I've looked back at some of the back at some of the stuff, like fucking Irate Gamer. There was a guy they mentioned.
I think I've seen them before.
He's got a wild story because it was like he was basically the Angry Video. You guys know who the Angry Video Game Nerd was, right?
Yeah.
I don't know any other guys.
I don't know.
Well, I know who he is now.
He just made like angry reviews of like retro games. The Irate Gamer basically just ripped him off. And then because he was less sweary and more like advertiser friendly, YouTube massively promoted the guy, then swept it under the rug because once he started to get popular, people were like, yo, this guy's just a rip off of Angry Video Game Nerd. We're gonna just drop racial slurs in his comment section. And then YouTube just swept it under the rug that they ever promoted him because they were just like, yeah, we're not gonna link people who have only just come onto our website with this toxicity. I also would just like to link this into one of my additional points. I guess this is more like a future idea for the guy, but something that I don't think ever really is brought up in this. It goes through like people's like journeys with YouTube and like gaming with YouTube, but it doesn't really go into actually YouTube gaming and its sort of history and past. You know, because there was a point in time where YouTube was like the gaming site. You went on the YouTube homepage and most videos were gaming related, right? It's still one of the biggest categories on YouTube. Ages after it was
Spider-Man and Elsa.
The biggest by a country mile. Like there was sort of that period in 2011. But there was sort of that period in like 2012 where gaming was set up perfectly for the YouTube algorithm that favored people coming back and watching your videos daily. Let's Play Gaming was able to do that, 10-minute videos, people watch each day. It blew up massively. And then YouTube sort of, I guess kind of killed it off a bit just because it wasn't good for the general audience that YouTube has sort of reached now. And this wasn't really like touched upon in the documentary. I guess the commercialization of YouTube almost, where it's become.
I know what you're saying, but
how we let him go talking this long uninterrupted?
Back when gaming blew up YouTube.
I'm losing my mind.
Yeah, back when YouTube blew up gaming for the first time,
I heard commercialization and my brain started to just drop. Just please.
Jesus Christ.
Although I completely respect your opinion, right? I think it's completely valid, but it is very long at this point.
Now it's all about Twitch, and it's
gaming has gone more towards like the live streaming and Twitch angle, whereas YouTube sort of has pushed it away and gone, we're more mainstream. We're gonna go for
which is kind of wank, to be fair. It's almost like they're trying to move away from their roots, which is always like a dick move to do. It's like, hey, this thing made my footing. Who cares? Next, what's more popular? Oh,
YouTube
pretty
definitely
people.
tried to do that, and I think it would have been an interesting thing to sort of touch upon that. Almost like going back to those, for example,
just YouTube being corporate
one of the main creators they talked about as like a main inspiration was Nerdcube. I think Nerdcube would be a great example to sort of go deeper into because his channel basically got killed by YouTube. He's still around, but I still watch some of his stuff to this day, and he's basically been at 2.5 million subscribers for about 5 years. He's actually dropping in subscribers, and it's because his content tended to be quite, he swears a lot in his content. So YouTube just didn't
no swearing
and actively punishes him for it now.
Yeah.
There is no. I know they during this movie they touched the they were discussing what they think the future of YouTube would look like.
Does Twitch?
But I will say that I actually think some of the views that they had, like a couple of them were saying how they think that everything's going to go like just towards like YouTube will be the big thing and like everybody will watch him video game stuff. But I actually think that that shit's dying now. No, YouTube isn't dead. No, YouTube
I don't think
isn't dead.
YouTube is stronger than ever. But
Let's plays and video game reviews are no longer a thing that people want anymore.
Yeah.
It's just sad reality.
Video game content.
If you want to watch somebody play a game, you go to Twitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, that is probably the best take I think I've heard. Yeah. Let's play back in the day. Let's plays were the old unedited.
Yeah.
It was unedited.
Well,
whereas nowadays it's very rare you get gaming content that is unedited.
That's how PewDiePie made his name, because he did quite a few Let's Plays and horror things, didn't he?
Yeah, but
nowadays
do them
you wouldn't. You would do that
this
on
is the
Twitch.
thing. But it's a prime example. He doesn't do them anymore.
Can we move on to the scoring?
One last thing before we do the scores. I want to bring up.
I'm going to sit on the score slide to push you to do it.
I appreciate a movie that thanks me for watching at the end. I don't know if you guys watched through the credits. You know, the song was a vibe.
Movie. It's a
movie. Thanks most importantly me for watching, and I, as a viewer, felt valued and seen.
Anyway,
they should have said based on a true story as well.
True, they could have done that as
well. Based on a true story.
Was it all scripted? We'll never know. Anyway, let's get on to the scores now. We need to start wrapping this up.
We very well might.
Let's go. Right. So going straight to the scores, let's go with DCOS first then. DCOS, score, and why?
I want to say a D for documentary.
Oh,
that's a valid.
It's
D for documentary.
I think that's
high level
very
analysis of this podcast. Never.
It's a very valid take.
In terms of an actual film, this is with a pinch of salt because it is a low budget film. It's not really that good of a film. But I was able to watch through this documentary, whereas other documentaries I've either turned off or I fell asleep. So
to be fair, DCOS is right. If he's watched this, there are some films that we've done in the past he hasn't even finished. So I mean,
the actual content at play here is pretty good.
Yeah, it's just not
everything else excluded.
I can't see it above C. Like, I think it is just a D.
No, that's fair. That's fair enough.
That's completely fair, DCOS. Completely fair. I respect you there. Plus, we've been looking for something to fill that D gap. I don't want to say that's personally motivating me, but it's a factor. Right.
What did you think then, Kama? Huh?
Yeah, what do you think, Kama?
Well, again, like, I it was very, like, I get everything they were talking about.
Film.
Yeah, well, like, I resonated with it. I recognized everything they were saying, like, because obviously, like, we've gone through, like, doing, like, YouTube, like, random gaming things, like, obviously, live stream gaming things, doing this with, like, YouTube. So we get where it's, like, being, like, a small time, like, creators and stuff. We understand, like, video games and stuff. So I was understanding everything I was saying now. I was, like, relating to it. That was all cool. But obviously, like, I've been through. I'm not gonna beat a dead horse with the whole Nintendo thing, so I'm just gonna move past that. But yeah, for like, obviously, I've never been like a massive documentary guy. Like, the only ones I can really get, the only ones like I genuinely am like blown away with have been like the few Louis Theroux ones I've watched. Thank you for introducing me to them, by the way, Ryan. They were very cool.
Yes,
I think I agree with D-Cos. I'll probably put it in D. But obviously it was like held back technology-wise, but that's not their fault at all. I think they did absolutely the best they could with what they had. And I think the fact that I think it's a better movie than Glass Onion, Murder Mystery 2, and Monster Hunter, and Ant-Man and the Lost Quantumania, and Netflix's The Fall, which all had budgets like thousands of times greater than this, I think is a testament to it. So I'd happily put it in D.
Okay, nice.
D for documentary.
D for
all right, Joe, you go. We'll save Ryan for last. His sweet little cheeks.
Honestly, I disagree. I agree with everything you're saying. I think the content. I think the concept is interesting. I think it's good to see it from the point of view of, you know, smaller channels. You know, it'd be so easy for YouTube to make a documentary about what it's like becoming a
Mr.
YouTuber,
Beast is so cool,
and taking massive YouTubers, but you can't really, you know, you can listen to them tell their story about how they started off in their bedroom and blah 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 blah, but then now they're millionaires and you can't really relate. Whereas exactly what you said, Cameron, you know, we have dabbled in these things as well.
Exactly, we relate to them because we've done the same shit.
I feel like we're
doing it right now.
very similar. Exactly. So, for that reason, I respect it a lot, and I respect the movie. However, it is by far greater than fucking Murder Mystery 2. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh yeah.
And I think D for documentary is a perfect slot for it. So that's where I'm putting it as well.
All right, cool. And Ryan, up, head in the rear.
Yeah, guess I'm gonna break the mold a bit. Sorry, documentary. D for documentary, but I'm gonna put it in C for cockumentary.
Oh.
Can we cut that?
No. That stays ragingly in.
No,
the
do
boner
not
Ryan has
circumcise
right
the cockumentary.
Okay, carry on. Explain.
Anyway, look, there's a bit of backstory because today, I rewatched this movie today in preparation for this, but I also watched 2 documentaries as well. I watched Sugar, Road to D-Day, and Louis Capaldi, How I'm Feeling Now. 2 documentaries about musicians.
Sounds like a
whose
riveting
music,
day.
frankly, I
Ryan.
do not fucking like.
We did that
It's definitely worth watching as well.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
the fact that this has like sub 300 views feels like a bit of I feel like almost an insult
Yeah.
to it.
No, I agree.
I think it should be more well known.
I think it deserves a bit.
I think
bit more than
it
that.
delves into again.
Although I gotta say, part of that might be because it does include some copyrighted music that the guy definitely didn't have the rights to, so probably got limited.
That's true.
Maybe.
But you live and learn. Sequel.
Sequel.
Cutting it short a little bit because you're tangenting. But I get what you're saying. It's good. No, it's good stuff. But obviously, we're drawing up. We're getting a little long here. We've still got to get what's to know with Joe in. So Ryan, you're going with C. Us 3 with D. So I feel like if we average that out, we're gonna pop it into the D tier.
It'll be a high D.
Right, high
high
D.
More time.
Right.
I'll try and convince you to put it in the C.
No.
Nah, yeah, right. Power of Movie Magic. Let's edit it in. And right, there we go. Power of Movie Magic. Play for views sits happily in D tier. So there we go. And what do you know? All of our tiers are now full. We've reached that beautiful point that all rating things want to reach, where we've finally got something for each tier. So when someone asks, "What movie do you have in that tier?" we can say something, because especially for the elusive D tier.
We did another S tier film. I feel like
we'll get there. We'll get there.
What happens next?
I was thinking this on the drive home from work, that we need another S tier film. But I was thinking about what films would be S tier, and I generally can't think of any.
My Neighbor Totoro.
We'll have to wait and see what we get next.
The problem with S tier movies is they're very opinionated. So then Ryan's going to say something like My Neighbor Totoro.
Having one film in S but only 1 in D, come on. 2 in D.
But what one is, I would put Revenge of the Sith in S tier, but obviously some people disagree.
You're biased.
I wouldn't disagree. I'd say yes.
This is an unnecessary tangent.
I know you're guys.
We're tangenting.
We're meant to be going on to Cameron was meant to wrap
where we get to know what Joe wants to know.
Okay, no, because I was talking over the start of that, Karen. You can redo it.
I don't give 2 shits. We're doing it now.
Redo it, cunt.
Fuck off, Joe. Go.
Okay. So just quickly, all right, just go completely off topic. Okay. So as we've discussed, this is a low budget film made for YouTube. So my question to you guys is, if you had £150, okay, to make a hour-long movie for YouTube, I want you to give me a brief description, just a few sentences, of what movie you would want to make using the same budget as these guys. And what would make it
on YouTube, to be honest?
Does it have to be a feature length or like this, or does it have to? Or could it be a short movie?
Okay. Well, we'll allow. Give me the description of a short movie that you think you guys would.
I can give you the perfect one, Joe. I would make a Michael Bay style massive action Transformers movie with the highest paid CGI companies in the world, and get a single frame.
Single frame.
It would be one of the shortest movies out there, but it would be beautiful.
I respect that answer. I respect it. Okay.
Right.
Ryan.
Oh. God. You know what? I would go down to the co-op and I'd purchase 150 £1 scratch cards and then record myself opening them.
What would the title of this movie be?
The Great Scratch.
The Great Scratch.
Okay, very nice. And finally, Decos, have you got one?
Also with star Bruce Willis.
Okay, not your turn now, right?
Hate to say it, but I'm a bit like Derek. I'm not creative enough to do this.
All right, all respect to answers.
Wait.
Thank you, guys.
Cameron wants to know what Joe would do with the money.
Yeah, what would you do with the money, Joe?
What would I do?
Don't say run back to Mexico.
That's not very nice, is it?
I
I would make a full feature-length, documentary about the sword theory in full detail, using with no expenses spared. That's what I would do. And if you don't know about the sword theory, I guess you missed a good part of YouTube culture right there.
All right, and that was the What's to Know with Joe, where he got to know what he wanted to know, yada yada. And yeah, that was it. So thank you ever so much for joining us this week, everyone, where we looked at play for views, and it was cheeky D tier. I think it did very well for itself. It beat a lot of high budget Hollywood movies. So I think that's the best it could do.
There's also as well, just for the mentioning, there'll be a link to go watch the full movie for yourself down.
Yeah,
in the
please do.
description.
Yeah, go check it out.
It's definitely
go give
worth
it a watch. Go give it some love. D tier is better than Murder Mystery 2.
And a shit ton of people watch that. So
honestly, George does have my respect for making this film.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah. They do clearly put blood, sweat, and tears into it.
Little round of applause for George.
I'm not fapping. I was clapping. Right, and
we have a soundboard.
Next week we have all decided that we're going to be looking at the first Hunger Games movie, which should be interesting. It's been a few years since I've seen that. I'm sure I'll have some heated opinions on it. Actually, I think from what I remember, the first one was actually pretty decent. Because you see people just get slaughtered.
Yeah, I went to see all 4 of the Hunger Games movies.
Oh man, poor you. Those last 2 were abysmal.
They were very mid.
But the first one is actually supposed to be pretty good. I can also sit
through literally anything, so...
Yeah. Fun fact, The Hunger Games is one of the few books I've read in terms of, like, proper books.
Well, there we go. Yeah, The Hunger Games.
We'll also be talking next week about how they
grasp of fun facts.
If that's not worth an S tier, then I don't know what is.
Yeah.
It's my thing, okay? Let me have it.
Okay, right. Let's wrap this up.
So
next week as well, I'm definitely not going to be talking about how Suzanne Collins didn't watch the 2001 Japanese film Battle Royale and absolutely stole the idea.
I know what you're talking about.
Battle Royale is a fucking banger, and she
right. Thank you ever so much for listening, everybody. We're wrapping this up. Give this video a like, leave it a comment, subscribe, ring the bell, check out our socials, go to everything, just interact with this video as much as you can, recommend it to your friends. All right, there we go. See you guys next week. Say bye, everyone.
Bye.
Hurrah.